Good morning, everyone. Let's start the last day of Sustainable Place 2025 in Milan. We have the Sustainable Urban Design Thematic Track, Positive Energy Districts and Flexible Energy Communities today, sponsored by R2M, Fantasy, Ceres, that are our companies that are bringing energy communities activities in Italy and Spain. This session has been sponsored by several EU projects that will be presented: FEDECOM, Beacon, STAN, Masterpiece, Gigareto Factory, and Renotize. You will hear about them today. We thank you also our sponsors, ELRA, IS, and Access for You, as well as our patron, Assur. Let's open the session. My name is Simone Buffa. I'm an energy engineer with a PhD from the University of Bolzano. I'm thematic area leader for smart and sustainable communities at R2M Italy, and today I will moderate our session. I would like to start from this quote from Professor Francesco Musco from the University of Venice, just to allow you why it's important to have this kind of discussion here today. So Professor Musco said, we know how to make energy efficient buildings today, but how to make efficient cities becomes a bit more complicated because there is a problem of organizing space, networks, and systems that implies widespread action coordinated with each other. This is the main challenge that we face every day in our research activities and business activities. And I would like to just point you to two examples of activities that we are addressing with a few important municipalities here in Italy. So in our thematic area, we are collaborating with the municipality of Milan, mainly in two EU projects. One is Energy Poverty Zero, where we mapped for the first time the vulnerability risk for energy poverty in the entire city. And in the Regain project, we are working on regeneration activities for a district where we developed a digital twin model, as well as we are going to assess the impact of nature-based solution using innovative software, innovative products that bring to the markets like IS, ICD, and Greenpass. We are collaborating also with the municipality of Padua. That is also a net zero emission city. We just completed the first study for district heating networks in this municipality. You can see the yellow areas that are the one with the most important district heating demand. We developed a digital twin of some districts in the Plus District Heating from Padova project, where we collaborated with Europe Research and Sengim, as well as we developed a digital twin of the industrial zone for this city. And thanks to this modeling activity, we assessed how to reach a positive energy district in an industrial area. Finally, I would like to do two important announcements for our company. The first one is the first energy communities that we are creating thanks to the project Scaling Superhero. This energy community will be called Superhero Chair. We are going to involve citizens as part of this initiative as investors. We are going to start from a small municipality nearby Pavia called Belgioioso, and there we are going to engage the local community thanks to the superhero.com platform. I invite you to keep yourself updated. Come this afternoon at the end of the day, we will have more than 1 hour spent on this project. And if you want to stay in contact, you can scan our QR code here. And the last announcement, since we are going to touch also this morning, is the aspects of accessibility. So sustainability should also be complemented by accessibility. And as previously announced, I will also I would like also to inform you that Sustainable Place 2025, this building has been certified, the first building certified in Italy for accessibility. So people that have difficulties have approved of access this building. And this is a new service that now we are bringing to the market. So thanks to our innovative products division, if you want to get to be informed on this, we have also a desk in outside the auditorium, so you can also ask. So now let's get started. We have a lot of speakers, and I would like to give the floor to Anna Gaiardi, an architect, project manager for the task force edilizia e urbanistica progetto 1000 esperti PNRR from the Lombardy region. She will be will open to the session of today with a speaker on called the know-how that show how. Her presentation will be in Italian, and then I will make a small summary in English. Anna, the floor is yours.
Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti, ringrazio per l'invito. Quest'oggi mi piacerebbe illustrarvi quello che è un po' il percorso che spesso le nuove tecnologie, l'innovazione, purtroppo deve poi scontrarsi con il concetto di burocrazia. E quindi troppo spesso, seppur mettiamo in campo comunque tante ipotesi di sviluppo ambientale, economico e sociale, spesso ci si scontra contro quello che è l'aspetto burocratico e che quindi blocca lo sviluppo. La velocità del cambiamento tecnologico e ambientale e quindi ha una velocità differente da quella che è l'aspetto normativo. Tutto questo sicuramente non fa bene allo sviluppo e alla sostenibilità. E quindi da qui ci ritroviamo ad avere una burocrazia lenta che sicuramente, ovviamente la burocrazia formata da autorizzazioni, tempi lunghi, iter complessi, e dall'altra parte invece abbiamo un sistema molto più rapido, un'innovazione che non aspetta quelli che sono i tempi della pubblica amministrazione. E quando parliamo di innovazione, in questo caso stiamo parlando per esempio di fonti rinnovabili, di smart city, di mobilità sostenibile, tutti concetti che abbiamo oggi necessità assolutamente di voler e di poter far correre, ma che invece troppo spesso ci ritroviamo a dover gestire in maniera molto ma molto lenta. E tutto questo provoca ritardo nell'applicazione di soluzioni utili ai cittadini e alle imprese. E allora vediamo velocemente quali sono i fattori di incertezza per le imprese e per gli investitori, perché questi bloccano lo sviluppo. Intanto una difficile definizione degli interventi. Come sappiamo, la prima porta di contatto con la pubblica amministrazione sono i comuni. Nell'esperienza del PNRR e dell'innovazione che la missione 1 del PNRR ha previsto come ampliamento della capacità amministrativa degli enti, ci ha messo davanti a una realtà che troppo spesso i comuni non sono pronti a gestire l'innovazione e il cambiamento. E quindi questo fa sì che si abbiano delle interpretazioni differenti delle norme, ci sia una complessità normativa anche di diversi fattori e poi una mancanza di coordinamento tra gli enti. Spesso poi quando dobbiamo andare a chiedere pareri a diversi enti, tutto questo manda in tilt il sistema. E allora che cosa succede? Succede che tutto questo ha una ricaduta estremamente importante su quelli che sono gli investimenti. Investimenti che quindi vengono bloccati e c'è un rallentamento. Il caso emblematico che stiamo oggi assistendo è per esempio al caso dei data center, dove c'è una necessità di far atterrare questi queste operazioni, ma che poi diventa complicato da dover gestire all'interno degli enti pubblici. E quindi questo crea sicuramente un disallineamento tra quelle che sono le esigenze delle imprese e dei cittadini e le risposte della PA. Tutto questo fa perdere di competitività al nostro paese. Per quel concetto che il tempo è denaro, ecco, in questo momento stiamo perdendo del denaro, perché la pubblica amministrazione non è in grado di rispondere a queste esigenze. E allora da qui volevo riportare un articolo del Sole 24 Ore dove la professoressa Vecchi della Bocconi di Milano mette in evidenza la necessità di competenze differenti all'interno della pubblica amministrazione, perché solo con le competenze si riesce a parlare lo stesso linguaggio da parte degli operatori privati e da parte degli operatori pubblici, che come sappiamo la macchina amministrativa non è sempre adeguata anche alla professionalità che viene oggi richiesta. Viene richiesta una professionalità sicuramente multidisciplinare, una professionalità manageriale che troppo spesso non si trova all'interno degli enti locali. A questo ci aggiungiamo anche che c'è lo svuotamento degli enti locali, quindi diventa ancora più difficoltoso mettere in opera queste attività. Quindi che cosa servono? Servono nuove competenze all'interno della macchina amministrativa che possano in qualche maniera fare quella transizione ecologica che ci porta poi a un'innovazione digitale per poter poi anche gestire l'intelligenza artificiale che oggi sempre più sta entrando all'interno degli enti. Tutto questo però deve anche essere accompagnato da quel concetto anche di partenariato pubblico-privato, perché è fondamentale poter in qualche maniera lavorare insieme tra gli operatori privati e gli operatori pubblici. Ecco, mi piace spesso riportare questo esempio come in alcuni casi ci sono operatori che vogliono fare investimenti o che hanno necessità di fare attività anche di sostenibilità ambientale, ma che poi invece le norme bloccano il sistema. Un caso emblematico, uno su tutti, un'azienda che ha bisogno di cambiare i filtri per un'azienda chimica che ha bisogno di cambiare i filtri e ha bisogno di mettere un camino da 12 metri. Le norme prevedono che ci sia fino a 10 metri la possibilità. Allora che cosa faccio? Allora, se io ho un tecnico competente e capace di gestire questa complessità, andrà a modificare le norme. Allora, che cosa serve? Cosa occorre fare? Serve sicuramente una PA agile, capace di rispondere in tempi certi e in tempi utili alle richieste che arrivano dal mondo degli investimenti e soprattutto dal mondo privato, e capacità anche di anticipare le sfide attraverso norme e regolamenti aggiornati, semplici e orientati al futuro, perché questa cosa farà la differenza. Ma soprattutto serve anche un nuovo rapporto. Serve un nuovo rapporto di fiducia tra le istituzioni e soprattutto tra il pubblico e il privato, perché questo farà sicuramente un nuovo tipo di organizzazione. Quindi investire oggi all'interno della pubblica amministrazione in competenze farà la differenza. Sappiamo che le riforme oggi in corso attraverso il Ministero della Funzione Pubblica stanno andando proprio in questa direzione, ma le capacità dovranno essere sempre più indirizzate verso i fenomeni di innovazione che stiamo assistendo fuori dagli enti locali. E quindi tutto questo sicuramente darà qualità, darà velocità, darà efficienza e diminuiranno i costi di gestione, perché saranno dei benefici tangibili su quelle che poi saranno le ricadute sui territori e sugli investimenti. Ecco, allora da qui capite che intanto stiamo allargando l'orizzonte, che non è più solo una visione burocratica o solo una visione legata al mondo comunale, ma diventa una partnership tra diversi fattori, perché questo fa sì che si possa mettere in campo anche un'etica della responsabilità e soprattutto della governance territoriale diversa. Perché in questo caso stiamo parlando di, come dicevo prima, di miglioramento delle relazioni, di fiducia e maggiori investimenti che appunto possono poi atterrare e quindi creare quello che definiamo appunto sviluppo sostenibile. Due parole molto rapide su quello che è il concetto proprio di pubblico-privato. Troppo spesso la pubblica amministrazione ha paura di lavorare col privato. Ecco, allora in questo caso anche sempre più deve essere messo in campo anche questa forma che è prevista dal codice degli appalti sul partenariato pubblico-privato, perché sempre più il privato possa collaborare e quindi formare anche quello che oggi è appunto il tema della giornata, anche le comunità energetiche, comunità capaci però di gestire insieme al pubblico lo sviluppo. E allora da qui tutti siamo chiamati a gestire questa attività, che non è più solo un'attività pubblica burocratica, ma è un'attività che a questo punto ha bisogno di tutta la rete di operatori, di stakeholder che devono collaborare per lo sviluppo economico. Perché a questo punto c'è una responsabilità sociale, c'è una responsabilità economica da parte delle imprese, c'è una responsabilità politica, tutti elementi fondamentali perché lo sviluppo possa avvenire in maniera idonea e soprattutto funzionale. E quindi questo è un tema molto importante perché capite che ci siamo allargati da quello che è il concetto di burocrazia a un concetto invece di visione di valore pubblico che vede interessare più figure che fanno tutti parte del procedimento amministrativo, che non è più solo relegato ad una parte degli uffici comunali, ma è una nuova visione di condivisione delle responsabilità che creano e generano poi una comunità. Allora, quando poi andiamo a parlare di comunità energetiche o andiamo a parlare ovviamente di aspetti ambientali, questa cosa non può che mettere intorno al tavolo tutte le persone, soprattutto tutti gli stakeholder che in maniera differente coordinano e possono fare la differenza all'interno di un processo. E allora, quali sono le figure fondamentali perché questa cosa possa avvenire? E soprattutto quali sono gli elementi fondamentali? Intanto deve esserci quella che possiamo definire una visione lungimirante che arriva da una visione strategica. Non possiamo più pensare di guardare all'oggi, ma neanche al domani, ma al dopodomani. Che cosa avverrà? Cosa lasciamo alle generazioni future? Per cui ogni scelta deve essere guardata con un occhio molto più, con delle lenti che guardano molto più lontano, come dire. Poi delle norme chiare, abbiamo bisogno di norme che non siano in contrasto tra di loro, quindi che siano comunque coordinate, ma poi abbiamo bisogno di azioni, bisogna poi passare all'aspetto operativo e quindi organizzare regolamenti e piani di governo del territorio lombardi capaci di gestire queste attività. Da qui la collaborazione tra imprese, enti locali, università e privati. E poi la formazione degli operatori per la gestione di nuove sfide. Ecco, allora da qui vado a concludere il mio intervento dicendo che quindi il futuro qui ci aspetta con una visione estremamente diversa. Mi piace l'idea di concludere con questa visione a questo punto, che è una visione diversa della pubblica amministrazione, una visione che non è più solo quella di burocrazia statica, ma è una visione sociale, ambientale e economica. Solo con questi tre fattori determinanti possiamo veramente fare la differenza. Io vi ringrazio, ho terminato il mio intervento, per qualsiasi indicazione sono a vostra disposizione. Grazie.
Grazie Anna, thank you Anna. So just for making a quick summary for non-Italian speaker and listener. So if you didn't understand, today we are focusing mainly on aspects where municipality are involved and they have a role. So in her speech, what Anna mentioned is that we are running at two different speed. Today here and in this conference, we have seen the innovation, how fast things evolve, technology evolve, and in some case, when you want to bring those technology and solution on the territory, you are obliged to deal with municipality. We are seeing this in several activities. I imagine that also you have experienced this in your projects, in your project and daily business. And I think it's not only an Italian problem. It's also, you have the same attitude also in other countries. So what Anna highlighted with her speech is that actually there is the need of a paradigm change. There is a need of new competencies for municipalities and public officers. We tried also to make a huge effort to have public officer in this conference today. But yeah, this should be a change that should come from long-term vision, long-term planning, because what Anna said is that if the public administrators works better and try to match somehow the innovation aspect, the business activities that comes from the private sectors, this will generate a lot of value for the territory. Our incomes on the territory will increase. So this will have an important impact on our economies too, and job creation. So this, it's an important thought that probably has not been touched so far in this conference, but it's important to highlight because it's like our claim as a researcher, as business somehow developer, because to bring our business on the field, we need also that municipality and public administrators follow us and support us in this change. Good, so I will move forward, taking the floor to Fayad Samet. Fayad, I want to thank you for the organization and support of the organization of this session today. Fayad is a research and development engineer in R2M. He is our main expert at international level of energy communities, and his speech is titled Mainstreaming Energy Communities in Europe, EU and Italian Perspective on Scaling Renewable Energy Communities for 2030 and 2050. Fayad, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Simone. Yeah, my name is Fayaz, and I'm, as Simone said, an R&D engineer and EU project manager, and I'm working a lot of projects on energy communities. Thanks all for attending this session. Personally, I'm very much passionate about this topic, and I believe that these kind of initiatives should exist and have an impact. And I'm happy that through my work at R2M, I'm able to do this and support these kind of initiatives through research, innovation, and direct engagement. So yeah, and I'm happy that for next 3-4 hours or the whole day, we are talking about supporting these kind of initiatives. Yeah, so at the heart of my presentation lies a message that just, effective, and affordable transition needs systemic change. And I believe that especially citizen participation, but citizen participation through energy communities can be an important for this kind of systemic change. And I think you're already familiar with this topic because you know the agenda or the topic, but just to simplify what I mean when I talk about collective action or energy communities, yeah, in the end, I'm saying the same thing, that it's just collective action on energy, some cooperative model, or some stakeholders coming together to do something about energy. And now, yeah, they are more popular with the name of energy communities because of some EU legislations. So in my presentation, I would tell you a little bit more about some European and Italian perspectives on energy communities. Mainly, I try to answer three things in my presentation: that why energy communities matter, but why now? And the second part would be what framework in terms of policy and market enable them, make them happen. And the third is how can we scale them in order to meet the 2030, 2050 targets. Yeah, through this slide, I just want to show you the urgency of the situation. I think you already know about Green Deal and the target 2050 to be carbon neutral. But what has happened over the years, I think especially with some of these ongoing events in Ukraine, that it shows the other side of this energy transition, this vulnerability on fossil fuels that drove volatility. And in the end, this prices volatility led lots of Europeans, millions of Europeans. Okay, here we have a number 46 from, but yeah, this number keeps changing. But the idea is that there are millions of people, because of these uncertainty, are facing energy poverty situation. So the urgency situation is even more critical, and it's not just about carbons, but also cost, also security, also dependence, and especially the most vulnerable people. And I believe, because in this kind of transition, you have people affected. So the systemic change lies through citizen involvement, citizen participation, through energy communities. And energy communities are the perfect vehicle that turn passive consumers into active energy participant of the energy transition. And I think previously I mentioned the urgency of the situation and why it's more urgent. But here I just want to show you some scale, because we know there's this 2030 target, 2050 target, and with the revision of EU directives, Renewable Energy Directive, Energy Efficiency Directive, or Energy Performance Building Directive, these targets are getting more and more ambitious. But what it means in terms of achieving these targets. So yeah, it means that now you need more capacity, more faster deployment of this kind of capacity. And in most of the Europe, what we see that, okay, you need to install more capacity, but grids are not ready for this, to integrate this capacity in a cost-effective way. And if you do this kind of investment, and if you do this kind of investment, who will pay? In the end, the citizens and end users will pay for this kind of cost. But what I'm saying, that through involving citizen and communities, there's a better way to integrate all of this capacity. Because in the end, a lot of this capacity would be installed at the low voltage, at the consumption side. And today we are going to hear a lot about European projects and the innovations they are doing in order to integrate this capacity through energy communities in a cost-effective way. Yeah, again, I believe that the effective way to tackle this challenge is involving citizens. And especially, I think, yeah, if we involve citizens, there are a lot of things that happen, especially the first is the public acceptance of renewable energy technologies. I think I've already seen a lot of examples, especially in Denmark, it's mandatory for renewable energy projects to involve communities, and that just makes the whole process faster. So there's also other benefits that because through this kind of initiatives, consumers become more active participants. They know more about energy efficiency and the behaviors, and also they contribute to flexibility because that's, I said it in the previous slide, that if you have more capacity, more variable renewables, you need more flexibility. And if these kind of initiatives integrated in the right way in the market, they can be the source of cost-effective flexibility. And again, the mobilizing private capital through a recent study by ACE project, which focused on financing citizen and community topic, they found out that through citizens, it's possible to contribute 176 billion euros by 2030 for energy transition. Yeah, through this slide, I tried to collect some data about where we are with this kind of projects, and just to show that it's not just some topic related to institutions or run by hippies, but now this kind of initiatives are more and more in Europe. I think this recent project, Tandem, tried to do something, to try to have some clear idea about the initiatives, where they are and how they emerge. And through their analysis, they found out that a lot of these initiatives are more in the Northern and Western European countries like Germany, Denmark, Austria. And what they found in their analysis, what are the main factors? I think they found 4 factors. The factor 1 is social trust, renewable capacity, financial support, but also policy support. And when these 4 factors align, this is where like a perfect condition, and that's why you have more and more energy communities that form in these kind of places, which can be useful to know in order to accelerate this moment in other places. And what is also something new that now this kind of initiatives, they also have a legal basis in EU directives. So we have clean energy package, which now recognize this kind of initiatives in a legal way, and then they provide, they can act as a fully market actor like other actors in the value chain, and then they can do all kind of activities. So this also somehow boosted this kind of initiatives in a lot of countries, especially in Italy. We are going to see now a few things about Italy. But at the EU level, there's a lot of support. So it's not that the policy, okay, you have clean energy package, and which allows all member states to transpose these directives, but also create an enabling framework for promoting this kind of initiative. And currently there is a clean energy package, which is under discussion, which will have more detailed action plan on promoting energy communities. So yeah, so as all member states had to transpose these directives, so now I would shift from EU to Italy, and Italy has also completed the process of transposition, defining these kind of initiatives. So there is a clear regulatory framework and financial incentive for this kind of projects. And in result of this, you see, in result of like you have this map from RSC, where you see a lot of these initiatives all around, spread around Italy. So there's something that after this policy framework and incentive, you see more and more these kind of initiatives emerging in Italy. It's the similar kind of chart, but showing you the numbers in a more graphical way. And I remember for a few years ago, the numbers of in like this kind of individual or collective self-consumption scheme, including energy communities, were even less than 100. But today, I just got this data recently, this number is even more than 2,000. And if we if we don't count other type of models and just focus on energy communities, then the number is still like 1,400. And in terms of citizens, there are around like 1,200 citizens engaged in these kind of initiatives. So there's something we can see that after this policy framework and incentives, the number is growing. But it would be interesting to see how is the situation in next few years. If these kind of initiatives, they continue exist, and what's their impact. Yeah, just some few information about the current status. I already mentioned around 1,400 renewable energy initiatives exist. Around 12,000 people are active in these kind of initiatives. I think something interesting is the engagement of public authorities, because in other countries, in Northern Western Europe, you see more citizen-driven initiatives, but in Italy, you have public authority, more involved in the promotion of these kind of initiatives. And also, a lot of these initiatives are concentrated more in the northern region, like Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna, and Veneto. But also, South is also catching up with these kind of initiatives. As I said about the municipal authorities, there's active engagement from them. More than 500 local administrations have launched their studies for feasibility studies. And also more urban collective self-consumption models. Different municipalities are also looking at using a condominium and another neighborhood-based REC models. Yeah, just some few insights about the current status of renewable energy communities in Italy. Yeah, I think from the numbers you can see that numbers is accelerating. Now you have more and more registered initiatives, and also municipal engagement is strong, because they see them as an effective tool for energy and climate goals. And also regeneration aspect, that a lot of these public buildings which were unused, now energy communities are using them in order to create some effective projects. And other thing which I found interesting is that now they're moving from this like standard PV based models to more diverse type of activities. Like some of these energy communities are also using mobility, installing EV chargers, and so also in terms of activities, it's becoming more diverse. Yeah, so recently in our project, I think I just said that number is growing thanks to this policy framework and incentives, but still there's a lot of barriers that are faced by this kind of initiatives. We did a huge survey in a masterpiece project where we got feedback from hundreds of energy communities, and we found that they still face a lot of these barriers, and a lot of these barriers are related to policy, related to institutional barriers, administrative barriers, but also related to financing. So yeah, there are a lot of these barriers that they still exist, that somehow hamper the growth of this kind of initiatives. So finally, coming to the some key insight after all of this information and how to overcome these barriers. The number one thing is simplify everything, because still there's in order to make this kind of initiative happen, you need to go through a lot of this bureaucracy and administrative procedures somehow, which act as a barrier. And also you need to cooperate with lots of different kind of stakeholders, like the system operator or supplier, in order to make these kind of projects happen. The other important thing is financing. Financing also a huge barrier for the growth of energy communities, because they are just new topics. So a lot of traditional banking sector, they don't understand them. So there's a need to expand different financial instruments that are more unique to the model of energy communities. And finally, is the same: empower user, make citizen at the heart of energy transition. And energy communities are a great opportunity for us that turn these consumers into more active participants of the energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Fayez, for this huge introduction on energy communities. So just for you to understand it, looking at the agenda, now we have the first block of EU project spotlight. The EU project that we are going to present are sponsoring this session, so we thank them. The session is called Enabling Flexible and Federated Energy Communities, Insight for EU Research and Innovation Projects. We will start from a project that we run from R2M Italy. I invite my colleague Martina Di Gallo presenting the project DCAF, where actually we try to put on the ground what Fayez mentioned at the end. Martina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simone. So good morning, everybody. So today I will talk about DCAF, a project funded by the Clermont-Ferrand European project, where we focus particularly on the city of Differdange in Luxembourg. I will talk and I will focus on the human sides of energy communities. So I will, let's say, focus on the part of engagement and gamification. Oops. Okay. Okay, so we started from this challenge. So Differdange, it's the only one cities in Luxembourg belonging also to the climate neutral and smart city mission. And their main objective is, of course, to also decarbonize their city. And when we started, they were particularly interested in the topic of energy communities, since also the maturity of energy communities in terms of legislation examples in Luxembourg was quite different compared to also what Fayez reported for Italy. So we were at a lower mature stages, which actually evolved a lot during 1 year of activities. And we focused on this topic of energy communities, but starting from the basis. So explaining and let's say also creating the space where people can understand what energy communities are. They can experiment what does it mean becoming a member of an energy community. And because of that, we developed this solution, a twofold solution. From one side, we have a platform subdivided in 3 main areas. So one focused on designing, one on management, and one on monitoring and forecasting. The second part, and will be my main focus today, it's on citizen engagement and gamification. Because, yeah, as we said, citizens, people are at the center of energy communities. So our objective was creating this journey for, let's say, allowing citizens to experiment a virtual example of energy community. So our aim was to raise awareness, but also create a sense of belonging among citizens, and also to set the basis for, let's say, an active base for, let's say, of citizens to join and to create real energy communities. So this, for example, is the path, the journey that we developed. So we developed educational campaigns, communication campaigns, and in particular, we developed this gamification exercise. So we started from the engagement. So we as also Artyom is working on a lot on this, we proposed a blended approach. So not only in-person activities, but also digital activities, thanks to the platform and the app that was provided by MAPS. So we developed this educational path, but also gamified activities like challenges, quiz, in order to make this journey more interesting, but also engaging and, let's say, not so difficult to be followed by different type of stakeholders. And we also organized several events there, also using, let's say, the network and also the presence of the Net Zero project. Some of the main results, as I was saying, we participated in several activities of the Net Zero City events. We discovered actually that some of the citizens and a group of citizens in Differdange already created a first energy community there. And so we also put them in contact with the municipality in order to start also a discussion. And in particular, we also, I will say, leverage this example as a sort of ambassador for engaging more and more citizens. And yeah, here you can see some examples of the campaigns that we have developed, some pictures of the events, and also some pictures of the app that we have used. But yeah, so my last part will be on lessons learned, which I think it's one of the most interesting parts. So when we started, of course, we were Italians in another country. So let's say that the first point that I also would like to highlight, it's the fact that you have to build trust, first of all, among people that don't know you. So a face-to-face interaction and, let's say, also leveraging the network and the connection of the municipality of Differdange was very critical, and it requires a lot of time and effort. At the beginning, we also encountered a lot of skepticism, which require also tailored communication. So we have done a very huge job on trying to understand also which were the barriers and also the, let's say, the possible blockers that people may have also regarding the topic of energy communities. And at the same time, by let's say, organizing meeting events, participating in local activities. This actually, let's say, helped us in, say, being gradually accepted and also trusted. And it's, let's say, we also ask for support from local partners. And last point, it's on digital tools, because we heard a lot about different platforms, different applications, different tools, but a lot of times, okay, you develop it, you think it's perfect, but at the end, when you are trying to introduce it and to ask people, ask user to use that the tool, it's not always easy. So also here, when you develop a tool, you have always to take into account the user, which is or maybe it's something quite easy to say, but it's really critical. And also introducing gamified activities, we think it's an added value, and in particular combining them in person and digital activities. Last but not least, the point of ambassadors, or people that know other people, and you can leverage on this. It's a key factor that we experienced was very successful. With that said, that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Martina. So it was quite challenging for us, but we did it. So great achievement. Now let's move forward. I'm glad to have with us Ivan Aranda, Head of Energy Area of R2M Spain, where our business on energy communities is growing quite seriously. Ivan is going to present the Beacon project, the one-stop shop of the energy communities, tools and services for municipalities. Ivan, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning to everyone. I'm Ivan from R2M, and I'm here today to present this EU project, Beacon, which is boosting energy communities, massive deployment by equipping local authorities with comprehensive technical assistance toolbox, integrated services, and capacity building. Quite a long title. But yeah, in fact, it represents very well what is the project about, which the idea is basically to support the different initiatives in energy communities and provide them with a toolkit of to support them in the whole process. Very nice the lesson learned from Martina, because I agree with pretty much everything, that these tools have to be together with not only digital but also with personal participation. So yeah, in the project we are several countries involved, several partners. We have demo areas in Spain, in Denmark, sorry, and in Bulgaria. So the idea for the project, so who is addressed to, is to support public authorities, promoters, local action groups. So basically all the variety of stakeholders that eventually can be involved in the energy community landscape. Regarding how we structure, how we thought about the project, basically it has three main parts, let's say, like vortex of the triangle. So in one side, we have the capacity building in the energy communities. We see that there is the need to really understand the different topics, the different areas involved in order to successfully develop an energy community. So part of the work that we have been doing in Beacon is the capacity building in the different fields related to the topic. Also, we set technical assistant offices, because we think that, so not only is about digital, but also like physical interaction. And we put all together in the one-stop shop concept, which is what I wanted to share with you today. So these three parts is what we combine somehow in Beacon to deliver those services to the different stakeholders and to deliver the right support for them to create and move on with their project in energy communities. What we have in terms of pilots, we have three demo areas. One is in Copenhagen, one is in Avila, and the other one is in Sofia in Bulgaria. And also we are, there are other 25 replicators already involved. They are, we are at this point sharing with them the platform. We are getting their feedback, and we are trying to understand how, that is useful for them, or how do they feel about it? Because at the end, the digital tool, if as Martina was mentioning before, is not always easy. That you may design from your side what you consider that is very, very nice and very useful, but at the end, it's difficult to really deliver, or to design something that is really useful for people. Okay, so basically, what in terms of the context, already Fayaz mentioned a lot of things here. So, but in summary, what we found is that what is needed is a comprehensive support in the development, because there are many topics involved in energy communities. We are talking about technical, about financial issues. We are talking about regulation, of course, cultural aspects specific from the different energy communities and for the different locations. So what we thought is that all these different pieces of the puzzle need to be tackled directly to the potential participants in the energy community. So therefore, a comprehensive approach should be taken. So that's more or less the idea of the one-stop shop, where basically you can make a linkage among the different stakeholders, among the different topics involved in the energy community landscape, and you can put that together and facilitate that information and this technical or whatever support is needed to the final users in the communities. So what we did is we structure a one-stop shop digital platform, but with this idea is considered or is thought as a hub to distribute the different services that I was mentioning before, the capacity building, different tools for supporting the process. So we structure in 3 different hubs to deliver this support to the participants in the communities. So in one of the hubs that we have that we set in the platform is the guidance hub. In here, what we have is a very ambitious idea, which is to have a digital tool to support a step-by-step guidance in the process of creating an energy community. This is challenging because what we have found for the experience is that every energy community is different. Therefore, to make something like digital and replicable and useful for any kind of energy communities is real challenge. And in that part, what we did is that we frame this support for a very specific type of energy communities, which is the most common that we have in Spain, which is based in photovoltaic, installing a rooftop that is, and this energy is shared among different people within this municipality. So what we did is we developed this step-by-step guidance for that specific use case, because of course we can have many different types of energy communities, and that's not something that it makes sense to cover, and it would be very ambitious and difficult to have a step-by-step guidance for every kind of energy community. So we just focus on that, and we have successfully applied in several communities, and we took the whole process from the design until the implementation using this guidance hub. So this is one part of the one-stop shop. The other block, let's say, of the other hub is the training hub. In here, what we prepare and we deliver is different materials for training, and also it came together with on-site methodologies we use through our partner in all the open innovation journey. So what we did is we did a strong and with the train of trainer approach, we did a strong effort on delivering these competencies that are required to move on along the process of creation of an energy community. And the final hub that we set in the platform is we call the opportunity hub, and this is a space specific for every energy community. So it's kind of an interaction that one specific community can go there and can have information and can have a kind of a forum to interact among the participants in the energy community, but also with the technical assistant offices. So it's this kind of a specific space for discuss on the energy community. It's also a place where the suppliers can put together, can join together and offer their services. For example, this is something that we are doing in our pilot in Copenhagen. So I was just about to finish, but I wanted to also mention some results that we achieved so far. We are already almost 2 years in the project. We are moving towards the end. You have the QR there for the platform in case you wanna have a look what we have in there. But what I wanted to mention is that at this point I think through the project we got a lot of lessons learned and we made I think important relevant contribution in the different demo areas, but also in the with the replicators to promote the energy communities. At this point, we are in the stage of in a very early stage in the energy communities all across in Europe. Some countries are more developed than others, but still is something new. We are far from a dominant design, we can say. So we can proudly say that we contribute to the creation of the first energy community in Sofia, for instance, with the participation of the municipality. Also in Denmark, we did capacity building and train over 60. We did over 60 workshops and training sessions with the social housing, and also, for example, in Avila, we came together with over 20 initial, just an idea of energy community, and we took them, thanks to Beacon, to a further stage in the implementation of the energy community. So this is me. So thank you very much. So.
Thank you, Ivan, and well done, I would say. Huge effort. So let's move forward with the next block of EU projects. So I think now we are going to see more into the details. Digital technologies for operators, flexibility and federation featuring some 3 additional e-projects. I invite here on the stage Ana Garcia, Head of Innovation of Voltiva Energy. She will present the standard approach, balancing needs, orchestrating flexibility. Ana, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. I'm Ana Garcia. I'm from former MIW Energía. Now we are Voltiva Energy. And the STAN project is a very technical project in which we are involved. And Mateo Porta, that is from Reina Consulting, is your coordinator, but he cannot join us today. The STAN project is a very technical project in which our objective is to develop and demonstrate a solution, a hardware and software solution for managing flexibility in very complex energy systems that normally are energy communities that are formed by industrial sites, buildings, residential buildings, and also tertiary buildings. And the idea is to operate flexibility in these recent flexibility markets. We have 3 demonstrators, one in Spain, one in France, and one in Italy, with several partners there in the 3 countries and many other partners around Europe that are working together in the project. So what's the problem we have when we are trying to manage flexibility, or why we are trying to manage the flexibility in the demand? Traditionally, as you know, there were very big fossil fuel plants and that were flexible and that were and the supply or the generation were following the demand. So this was like the traditional rule to managing the grid. But nowadays, this is changing with the introduction of a lot of renewable sources that are inflexible and very variable. So we need to see how to manage the demand to follow the flexibility, to follow the generation. And we need to do this by applying some demand response strategies like load shedding or peak shaving, reducing our peak of demand, and also to changing the consumption behavior and make some load shifting and consuming in the periods when the generation when there is more generation. So the framework in which we can do this is this global and local flexibility markets that we are developing or trying to develop in this in all the European project and also in STAN. The issue here is that the demand is not concentrated. It's not. There are not very big plants, but a lot of small consumers that we need to manage in an aggregated way. And at the same time, these users need to gain some benefit from applying these demand strategies and changing their consumption behavior. We have aggregators, we have balance responsible parties, we have balance service parties that are willing to take this role to aggregate and manage this small consumption in order to get profit from this flexibility. But we are finding also that if these strategies, the load shifting or load shedding, are not for free. We need to develop technology. We need to deploy digital infrastructure, and also we need very precise models in order to plan and orchestrate the flexibility services well. Okay, so how we are addressing this problem in STAN and this complexity? We are using an algorithm, an optimization algorithm that is called the bi-level Stackelberg game. In this algorithm, we have two main levels: the aggregator or two main layers. The aggregator layer that is in the middle of the system. And is receiving the signals and the data from all the actors in the energy sector. They are receiving the signals or the prices from energy markets and flexibility market. They are receiving the signal from DSO and TSO, the operational status of the grid, and also what is the energy consumption of the buildings. And they are trying to manage all this data in order to plan the demand for applying these flexibility strategies. That is the second layer, the lower layer, that is the building domain, in which the aggregator needs to manage and to control several building management systems, several different loads that have different control methods, and also different configurations. So there can be centralized, decentralized, or several distributed configurations. So in STAN, we are trying to help the aggregator to orchestrate all this complexity and give them control functionalities and also communication with all the actors that are involved in these strategies. So, as I've said, what we need to develop this flexibility service. In first place, we need IoT technologies. We need to deploy in the sites, in the demonstrator, and that's in which we are working on right now, because the project started just 1 year ago. So we are still designing the system. So we need to deploy IoT technologies in the loads, in the sites. We also need to obtain the data from the smart metering, from the DSO. We need also to develop an IT framework and algorithm that works in each of the demo sites that are very different. And we need also to deploy some smart contracts between the aggregator and the consumers that are fair for both of them. And the aggregator should be able also to control directly the BMS and the loads at a local level. And finally, to end, what are the most common barriers or the barriers that we have found in this first year when designing the system? The first one was the lack of knowledge of the final user on how flexibility works, how they can benefit of this flexibility to reduce their energy costs or even have explicit incomes from this flexibility. In addition, as you know, there is not a clear framework, legislative framework. It's changing, it's evolving also, but sometimes it's back and forth. They are applying laws and then they are projecting, and we are at the starting point. So for the final user, it's difficult to trust that the investment that they need to do, that is the next barrier, that in some cases they don't have enough digital infrastructure to control the load, so they need to do a high initial investment in this IoT technology and in this control technology that they are not sure if they are going to be able to recover after some years. They don't know if it's going to be profitable. And finally, the smart contracts are not very well established yet. So there is some need on assistance, on legal assistance, on how to develop these smart contracts. This is also a barrier when we are trying to sell flexibility to the final user. And at the end, also, finally, there are many stakeholders. All the energy sector is in some way involved in these strategies in how to apply this demand response and this flexibility to improve or optimize the energy community's operation. And it's not very clear, for example, if the aggregator should be independent, should be an electricity supplier, both, if the DSO should provide some data, or we need to install more smart meters specific for the aggregator, how to calculate the baseline. The baseline is not well established or well defined. So all these complexities that we are still studying should be developed in the next years and also standardized in order to improve the application of these strategies for integrating more renewables and also reach the target that the European Union has set for 2050. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. So this is the next challenge, I would say. So energy communities will be the core of providing energy flexibility in local flexibility markets that now are appearing also in Italy, where we have already some pilot activities. So this is why they are becoming also interesting for grids operator and new aggregators companies that are also growing all over in Europe. Now we move forward with the next project. Again, Fayaz on the stage will present Masterpiece, enabling citizen-driven energy communities through digital and social innovation. Fayaz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simone. Yeah, in my previous presentation, I told you about energy communities, the potential, the challenges. Now I provide you a concrete example how we are supporting energy communities through Masterpiece project. Yeah, so Masterpiece is a Horizon Europe project, and Masterpiece stands for multidisciplinary approaches and software technologies for engagement, recruitment, and participation in energy communities. It's a project coordinated by University of Murcia, and so I'm presenting this project on their behalf. And R2M role in the project is developing some technologies, some tools, but mainly the exploitation and business modeling activities, making sure that this research gets to market, and this presentation is also part of this. So Masterpiece, the main mission is that, development of this modular platform of tools and services that can support energy communities in the formation, operation, and optimization process. And how we do it, there are three important things that allow us to do this. Number one is focusing on the social innovation and then participatory processes to engage the stakeholders. The second important thing is the ICT tools that support this operation and management process. And the other part is also the digital ecosystem that assists organizational, legislative, and other type of activities. Yeah, just to start, because when I said the first thing was social innovation and participatory engagement, it was not just a word we were just using, but we actually implemented it in the Masterpiece project. Through the beginning, we really engaged our stakeholders to really understand what we are dealing with. So before I talk to you about Masterpiece platform, I want to tell you something about the framework that guided the design and development of Masterpiece. And the first framework is this foundational dimensions of energy communities. So when we engaged the stakeholders, our pilot communities, what we really understood that energy community is a bit different than other renewable projects. There you really have these three different dimensions that you need to take into account in order to make these projects more sustainable and long-term basis. So you have the technical dimensions, which about the technology, sizing, design, but then you have also this social dimension of the engagement, coordination of daily activities between the participants. And there's also this strong regulatory aspect and business aspect. So in order to support these kind of projects, make them thriving communities, you really need to cover all of these aspects. And if you neglect one, it will not work out. So it was something that we learned from the beginning and that used for the design activities of the project. And the other important thing that we learned from the beginning is that these kind of projects, they have a specific life cycle. And this life cycle is at the operational level in terms of activities, starting from an idea that some group of people have some idea of starting a community project. Then you have design, you have feasibility studies, commissioning, management and operation. So this is different activities in the life cycle of an energy community. But then there is other aspect, and that is more related to the experiential and behavioral aspect. And that looks at the attitude or behaviors of the citizens who are involved in different stages of energy community. So we made sure that we designed the toolkit that for the Masterpiece project, keeping into account this journey at the operational level, but also at the experiential and behavioral level that tells us about the attitude and behaviors of citizens who are involved in different stages of energy community project. And now here I move from how we convert this framework into actions. So there are three key pillars. So starting with this guiding framework, this energy community journey, and the triangle concept, and then we have digital modular platform, Masterpiece platform, that somehow integrate different tools and services, keep into account this triangle concept and journey to support energy communities in their life cycle. And the last part is that we have diverse group of pilots, 8 different pilots in 5 different countries that allow us to test and validate the tools and services in variety of use cases and scenarios, starting from educating people about energy community to active engagement and flexibility services. Yeah, so I would not go too much in detail about the architecture behind integrating all the tools and deploying them, but what I can say that all of this development was driven by interoperability standards that makes data access and sharing between different tools and components very easy. And just to say a few things about the type of tools, services that we have in the Masterpiece platform, they can be divided in 3 groups. So group 1 is simulation and EC management. Then the other aspect is more on the social side about awareness, engagement, and profiling. And then we have group 3, which focuses more on the active flexibility management, DR optimization stuff. Yeah, so this is just a simple example. Yeah, instead of showing you more technical details, I can give you a concrete example how Masterpiece Toolkit support different actors of energy community. For instance, so if you are someone new to energy community, you don't know anything about energy community, Then you have a Meetup app that also developed by R2M that provide you training, education material on this topic, and also provide you social features like discussion, events, that you learn more about energy communities. And once you learn about energy communities, and then you're ready to search for energy communities, then you have a tool, eCope, that allows you to find energy communities and join energy communities. And then once you're a part of energy community, then we have a tool that looks into account your social behavioral data in order to profile and provide you recommendations based on your profile. And then once you have these recommendations, there's also this tool from Maps that allows you to look into your energy consumption data and economic indicators, so you also know more about your performance in the energy community. And then there's a last tool that allows you more becoming active part of electricity markets and also provide flexibility services. So this was more from the perspective of EC members. So if you are an EC member, then you have all this toolkit somehow support you to advance your journey with the energy community. And then if you go to the other role, which is also important, of EC manager, then you have a tool like Compass, which tells you more about some capacity building, some technical assistance, and financial incentives to form an energy community. And then once you have all this incentive, you're ready to install and manage your energy community, you have an EC tool that allows you to do day-to-day operations, governance, decision-making of your energy community. And then if you want to expand this energy community, then we have SIT, which is a smart investment tool that allows you different scenarios, how you can grow this energy community. And then there's also a tool, Maps, which is a manager tool that shows you how your energy community is doing in terms of energy and economic indicators. And then finally, you have DRFlex tool that ensure your active integration in flexibility markets. So again, you can see that if you are an EC manager, starting from finding resources all the way to active integration of your energy community in flexibility markets, Masterpiece has all the tools and services to do this. And one important thing is that all of this experience is connected in Masterpiece platform that is done in a seamless way. So once you enter, then you can easily navigate this journey experience through Masterpiece platform. Yeah, I mentioned about the pilots. So we have 8 different pilots in 5 different countries that allow us to test different scenarios and use cases with our tools and services, starting from creating awareness, making consumer more knowledgeable about energy community, all the way provision of flexibility services. And this, you can see an example of how we apply the energy community journey with the pilots. So we have different 8 pilots. They started Masterpiece project at a different part of energy community journey, and with the help of Masterpiece tools, they advancing on this life cycle of their journey of energy community project. And yeah, so we also think it's important because there's huge need for capacity building and training of these stakeholders, but also different concept of energy community, but also about the tools and results of Masterpiece. So we have this on this website, you have all the training resources available to get to know more about these tools, and you can find them on the website. Thanks. Yeah, that was it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Fayaz, for this overview of the Masterpiece project. Yeah, it's also important here, our role as R2M Italy, where we are developing tools. Our IT colleagues are programming the Meetup, the Compass. So if you are interested in seeing this tool, please ask Fayaz or Marco De Mutti. They will show them how it works. Okay, we are going to finish this session with the last presentation from Zia Lennart, Senior Project Manager from Martin Solution of France. We thank also Zia because it's one of the main contributions from the organization of Sustainable Place. And Zia will tell us about the FEDECOM project, open source technologies to federate and interconnect multiple energy communities across Europe. Zia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning or almost good afternoon. I am the last presentation before the break, so rest assured I will not go into details about the project. I just want to give a quick overview so we can start finding solutions together. So FEDECOM is interesting because it's a technology development project where it creates technology that can combine multiple energy communities together for trading. But, you know, one of the things is that these technologies aren't really being allowed to penetrate the market because of the regulation. So in Europe, peer-to-peer trading is not possible. So FEDECOM is trying to try something called peer-to-pool or peer-to-market trading to prove to regulators that there's other possibilities with the technology. And the technology is going great, but we need the regulations to let the technologies meet the market. So some of the problems that we saw were that the local trading really is blocked after self-consumption, and platforms are not able to work in tandem with one another. So a platform for one energy community cannot communicate with another one. Therefore, scalability is not possible, and replication beyond pilots is very limited. So to prove the technology that we're developing, it's really about four main aspects. So it's able to forecast the demand and the renewables on site, trade by matching the supply and demand with either the market or the different peers, and then verify with KPIs that the remuneration and the objectives are met technically, and then pay the right people. So make sure that the right actors are getting the right compensation. As I mentioned, we are dealing with two trading schemes for both energy and flexibility, peer-to-peer and peer-to-pool. So peer-to-peer is two assets communicating with each other, and peer-to-pool is basically two communities acting as one asset. It's a blockchain platform, so it's secure and private. And then a lot of what we're doing, or at least personally what I'm doing, is addressing scalability and replication with business models. So quickly about the pilots, there's 3 pilots in 3 different countries. But as you'll see in a moment, they're not very simple pilots. The first one, a lot of what the project is doing is sector coupling, so different energy vectors, being able to trade those as easily. And so the first pilot is in Spain, and there are 4 different use cases in Spain. The Swiss pilot is mainly hydropower. There's 3 different energy communities trading amongst each other in Switzerland. And then the third pilot, it was started as cross-country trading between the Netherlands and Belgium, but because of a change in the project, we're now dealing with the different regions in Belgium with electric vehicles and so on. So as you see on the bottom, there's hydrogen and heat systems in Spain, PV and batteries in Switzerland, and PV and electric vehicles in Belgium. So to think about business models, we had to think, okay, we had to figure out what these pilots are actually doing. So here, these images are essentially business models of the different use cases. So as I mentioned, the first pilot in Spain is dealing with 4 different use cases. There's a residential community, there's a city hall, there's a green hydrogen plant, and then there's a hydrogen bus station. So each one of these are acting as energy communities, trading different energy vectors and proving the technology. In Switzerland, the 3 energy communities are, as I said, trading within each other, within each community, and then amongst each other, inter and intra, we call it, trading. And finally, the cross-country federation, which is now just Belgium, is dealing with different commercial and residential actors, mainly using electric vehicles as the vector. And some important aspects about the project are that we have 2 DSOs in the project, and a lot of times what we see in terms of the blocking points for regulations is that the DSOs are essentially a public entity. So no matter how good the technology is, you can't really take money out of the pockets of the DSOs. So it's very interesting to have 2 DSOs in the project because, you know, it's a step forward towards being actually replicable and scalable in the real world if the DSOs are on board. DSOs, I'm not sure if you know, but they're the main actor dealing with flexibility at low and medium distribution level. So to have them on board is very important. And another interesting aspect, and this is my last slide, is the open source aspect. So a lot of the technology, it's an integrated platform made up of tools and services, but a lot of the modules are open source. And so these are exciting because if you have the DSO on board and you have open source technology, it's really steps in the right direction to get the regulators to allow these technologies to reach the market. So one of the things that I saw as being interesting, at first I thought, oh, let's have a policy brief at the end of the project to show policymakers that this technology is amazing and you should let it reach the market. But then I realized maybe better than a technology brief is a replication playbook. So helping people actually replicate the demonstrations, the use cases in different ways. So I created this self-assessment tool. So no matter what type of actor you are, you can see if your situation is replicable, and if so, in what way. So can you do minimal replication, intermediate, or full? So the minimal replication is just the forecasting and optimization algorithms. Can you adopt those in your site or your city or your building or whatever it is? Intermediate is, can you apply the federation concept at a small scale? And can you have interoperable technologies working together? And then if you have full replication, it's really the trading algorithms and the market participation for the energy and flexibility trading. So the actors that are being addressed are site owners, technical integrators, aggregators, and the public sector. So if you're one of those actors, I encourage you to scan the QR code and see if these solutions are applicable to your scenario. And then there's a full playbook, not just the self-assessment tool. It's giving guidance on technical aspects, business aspects, regulatory aspects, organizational, and we also have these 4 country case studies: Portugal, Austria, France, and Scotland. And so even though the pilots are in different countries. We wanted to show how the replication context, how it works in these different countries. And so, I'm very pleased with this assessment tool and playbook. So I would really encourage you to take a look. And if you're interested in following the project, please email me. My email address is there at the bottom of the screen. And I would encourage us in our dialogue to try to find solutions, not just more technologies and more, but really find ways to work together so that we can encourage policymakers and regulators to let these solutions happen. We've seen social aspects, one-stop shops. We've seen, different technologies. This one, in this case, is scaling multiple communities together. So we really have the technologies, but we need to bridge the gap with the regulators and policymakers to allow these solutions to come to fruition. We tried with demand response, it didn't really work. And so energy communities, at least for me, is exciting because it gives regular people the ownership of these assets, and it gives them the accountability to act where demand response wasn't really behavioral change incentive. But energy communities, in my opinion, are exciting because it gives us all joint ownership and really the responsibility to work with our neighbors and make our community more energy efficient and sustainable for the future. So thank you, and I look forward to having conversations with you at the break and beyond.
Thanks, Zia. So yeah, very, very interesting. Just to highlight that, I mean, at the R2M group, we are spending a lot building our competencies, building our know-how that we would like to bring in our consultancy activities, especially in this forefront concept of energy flexibility driven by energy communities and also connecting energy communities between themselves. So now we have just a few minutes. If there is any question from the audience, you can do it now, or otherwise feel free to interact with our speakers during the coffee break. Is there any question from the audience? Any curiosity that you have? If not, we can close the session now. Let's start again in 15 minutes, so 11:10. Let's be back here with a second block of this morning session where we are moving from the topic of renewable energy communities towards sustainable, resilient, and accessible districts. We are going to have legal expert, urbanist expert, so it will be a really interesting session. So I will invite you to come back after the coffee break. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this session, this thematic track on sustainable urban design. So we are going to move forward on the next topic. So today we will have high-level speakers from legal companies as well as urbanists and researchers. But we are going also to show you two companies that actually are part of our partners and part of our innovative products portfolio. So let's start with Federico Copris, senior energy lawyer at WST. Federico will show us the role of municipalities in energy communities, some issues in search of resolution. Federico, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Simone. Good morning to everyone. So my speech will be about the role of the municipalities in energy communities. And the first question is why municipalities are so important in energy communities. The answer maybe is simple because they represent the lowest level of government. So they represent local communities. And So this is something which is really connected with energy communities, because also energy communities should represent local communities as well. I promise I'll try to mention as few regulation as I can, because I know that maybe it's difficult. And I want to start with a regulation, sorry. I won't explain what an energy community is, because this audience knows very well. But what I want here to stress is this, that in the first definition of energy community that we already had 7 years ago with the Renewable Energy Directive, the European lawmaker was aware of the role of the municipalities, because as you can see, maybe you have read this definition a lot of times that tell us what a community, energy community is. You can see that the lawmaker thought that the shareholders should be natural persons, small, medium enterprises, or local authorities, including municipalities. And this is very important that in a directive there's a so precise referral to municipalities, which is the first problem. We have here an international audience that, of course, an energy community is a legal entity which can differ from country to country, because this, as I highlighted here, shall be in accordance with the applicable national law. That means that we have 27 different national laws and 27 different national laws about municipalities. So we'll take a look into the Italian case. So except for the procedures, I think that this will be interesting for everyone, because we will see some principles that I think they will be useful in the whole Europe. So first of all, which could be the role of municipalities? I identified 3 possible roles, and this is from the legislation, but also from our experience in these 7 years from the RED II directive. Let's say that the smart things, the little part in this big design that the municipalities can do is just promoting the energy communities. So with the public awareness. So for example, in the first year, actually nobody knows how to build an energy community. So there were many public meetings just to let the citizenship knows what an energy community is. Then let's say that there is something in the middle that could be, for example, let's take an example. A municipality owns a land that maybe it was, for example, polluted and then it was cleaned. So this land can be used for a social purpose, and this could be given to a third party, for example, an energy producer that will build a photovoltaic plant. And then this photovoltaic plant will take part in an energy community. So there's no active role from the municipality, but in certain circumstances, for example, a piece of land could be useful for the energy community. Here in Italy, we have a special regulation that allows municipality at certain circumstances with a public tender to grant third parties the use of their own land. The most important role, I think, is an active role. So when the municipality is an actor in the energy community, so it's a founding member or wants to participate in an energy community. This is maybe the most complicated things and also the brand new thing, because of course the municipality has always been a consumer of energy. In the past years, there are some municipalities that were already producer, so municipality which own, for example, here in the Alps, hydroelectric plants. But what's new is that this role, so as producer, prosumer, consumer, can be done as a founding member or participating in energy community. What's the matter? The matter is that the municipality is a local entity, so it's not like an enterprise, a private enterprise, and there are strict rules about this. And so there are three main issues. And I will start from the third one, actually, because I also heard that this morning there was a speech about that. What is the main problem about energy community and municipalities? Let's think that here we are in Milan, which is a great municipality, but for example, in Italy, there are more or less 8,000 different municipalities. Some of them are really small. So then the administrative offices, of course, lacks of expertise, both technical, legal, and also economic. So it's really difficult for a small municipality to set up an energy community itself. So what could be the solution? To set up an energy community with other subjects with maybe have this expertise. But then we introduced the second issue that, as I mentioned, there are certain limits and conditions on participation because, of course, a municipality is a public is a public entity. So there are strict regulation about it. And in Italy, we have the third problem, which is the first one, actually, that since 9 years, there is a preventive control by the Court of Auditors. The Court of Auditors is something that exists also in the European Union. There is a Court of Auditors of the European Union, and also other countries in Europe have a Court of Auditors, which is like very known because the main purpose of the Court of Auditors normally is to check the financial statements of the public entities, among them also the municipality. So you may ask, what does this matter with the energy communities? This matter because now, since 9 years, the Court of Auditors must always check when a municipality wants to set up or acquire shares of participation in or direct or indirect or indirect in a company. Why? This control is performed because, of course, a municipality shall govern the local territory, and in our cases, for example, it's not its institutional role to produce energy. So that why this is important? Because if you want to set up an energy community in which you want to involve a municipality, but also a public entity, you have to take into account this problem that the municipality must check if they can adhere to the energy community. So the procedure in Italy is actually very simple. So the municipality should submit the deliberation to the Court of Auditors, which will release an opinion within 60 days, excuse me. What happens if the court does not release any opinion? Then the municipality is free to establish the community. This is, from an Italian point of view, is very important, okay? Because a positive opinion of the Court of Auditors, it's a very good news for the local administration. Because as you can see, this means that if the local community then is set up as foreseen by the project, there will be no gross negligence to the administrators. And this is a topic which is very important in Italy. You may ask what the Court of Auditors will check. Actually, they will perform a kind of light due diligence on the project. So the municipality must submit a business plan, okay, as you can see. So with also a breakdown of the specific costs. So for example, how much does it cost the installation of the plant and who burdens this cost, okay? How much will cost the maintenance, ordinary and extraordinary, any financial charges, for example, if there is a third-party financial. On the other hand, they will check also the positive impact of the community on the municipality. So how much can the municipality save from the shared energy? how much from the incentive from the GSE, which is the Italian authority granting incentives to the renewable energies, will derive from this operation. Or, for example, if the community will set up a fund for social purposes. So which impact can have the community on that territory? Then there will be also the last check, which from a legal point of view is maybe the most important, which is the check on the statute of the order regulation. Because as we mentioned earlier, the energy community is a legal entity, so it's a separate legal entity. And this maybe is the most interesting part, because apart from the financial aspect, the court will check also these aspects. And I made a research, and in the first year after 2018, so after the first definition of REC, excuse me, there was just a few opinions by the Court of Auditors in Italy regarding energy communities, because actually in the first year, at the first stage, the energy community was like just project but not concrete. So every time there were new opinions from the Court of Auditors about energy communities, there was a press release because it was a very important news in the sector. The opinion of the Court of Auditors are in a public database. I checked a couple of days ago, and now the wind has changed, because in this year, so in 2025, we are still in October, there are more than 100 opinions about energy communities. This shows you how this step actually is important, because if you want to involve a public administration in energy community, you have to take account of this. Just give me a second for the last theoretical point. Then I will end my speech with a concrete case that happened nearby. By the way, the last question is what will control the Court of Auditors about setting regulation? Is a question which is connected with another topic, which is the legal entity. I don't know in the other countries. This could be an interesting topic to discuss. But in Italy, in the last years, arose a long debate about which is the best legal form for to set up a legal community, and regardless the participation of a municipality. This was a general question. So in this specific about this specific topic, the court will always follow these two principles, which emerge in this 100 opinion that we read, that there's a sort of freedom of form and a case-by-case assessment, and these two principles are connected. What does it mean? That the court will never say this legal form is okay, this legal form is not okay in general, but will perform a case-by-case assessment, and will check if that municipality did a good reasoning for that choice. For example, to choose a legal form and not another one. I will take an example, okay? This is a list which was provided by ARERA in 2020 when there were only pilot projects, which is some example on how the energy community can be constituted. You see, for example, there are associations which are not corporation, cooperative, benefit cooperative, consortium, public-private partnership. I know that we spoke about this morning about public-private partnership. So that's an example. And there are some cases in which we have some principle very useful. I will skip because I have 5 seconds. Sorry, Simone. Okay. This is an opinion about how to set up a good energy community in which a municipality is involved. which happens nearby. This is an opinion from 15 days ago, which was released on September the 25th. And so the municipality, in this case, decided to purchase shares in a cooperative company. And so they submit the request to the court and they say, okay, we need to purchase this share because we are not able to do by ourselves. And the best form is a cooperative, and we need to acquire the shares in this cooperative. The court in this case stated at first stage, that's not actually true, because you don't need actually to be part of the community. You can just, as I mentioned in the first part of the presentation, you can just promote them among your citizens, okay? So that's not true, that you have to be part of the community. And also, it's not true that the best way is a cooperative company, because I performed an assessment of the energy company nearby, and all the municipalities in that area did not set up companies in a corporate form, but they just have done associations. So in that case, it was necessary to verify if it was a good choice to enter in this cooperative. In this case, the answer was yes, it is. And why? Because the municipality has well done. They proposed a good business plan in which everything was considered. So the investment plan, the management cost, how many savings could be generated. Then they demonstrated that they do not have the necessary skill also in terms of human resources, because for building up energy community, as you know, municipality needs specialists. And also they performed, with regard to the economic convenience, a sort of comparative assessment of other forms, other legal entity they could use, and they successfully proved that that was the best. So what was the purpose of this speech? Please be advised, when you have to set up an energy community, that if you want to involve a municipality, it's a long process, and maybe you need a lawyer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Federico. Federico unfortunately has to leave, but I would like to thank Federico and also Matteo Corbo from WST. Thanks to their collaboration, we also established a partnership with another event called 2050 that is held in Padova every year in Spinger. So I also invite you to attend if you are there in April. So now let's move forward with the next speakers. We will now translate from the concept of energy communities to the concept of positive energy district. I don't know if you are comfortable with this definition, but positive energy district are those districts that actually produce more energy than the one that they consume. And there we assume that energy communities can have also a particular role and can have a driver. So Adriano, the floor is yours.
Yep. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here today with you, and I'm grateful to R2M for the invitation, also for the lovely dinner we had yesterday. You know how organizing such big event it's a big issue, and yeah, Simone told me it's more stressful than having the wedding ceremony. Sometimes that's true. So I would like to have a big applause for R2M. And to Simone for this organization. So thank you very much. My name is Adriano Bisella. I'm an urban planner, actually vice president of the Italian Association of Urban Planners and a senior researcher at UREC Research. I took some notes from the interventions that we heard this morning, and I found of particular interest. And before starting my intervention, I would like to share with you these notes. I remember that Anna told us about the mismatch between the speed of innovation, which is huge actually, and the slow aptitude to react fast of the public authorities. And also the need to create conscious territories, providing new forms of value to the community. Martina also remember us how in the creation of renewable energy communities, the human factor is in most of the case the most fragile element of the community. It is not about technical failures, but in most of the case, it's about social failure in the process of creating and establishing the community. And then the other colleagues of R2M remembered how renewable energy communities are not for making money, are not for making profit. Also, Federico stressed this point. They are social structures. And innovative business models anyway are needed, but also trust into the funding schemes. We saw the picture this morning about the huge number of communities in Italy. But if you speak with the presidents of the communities, the first reaction to such slide is, we are still waiting the feed-in tariff from April. So you ask us to put the citizens into the arena, into the game, and they are waiting month and month. So this is not a good signal if you want to involve the citizen, because citizens are not investors by default. So that's the starting point. And Simone also recalled the sentence of Professor Musco from the architecture faculty in Venice. We almost know how to deal with very efficient and smart buildings. Technologies are there, but passing from the single building to the city, it's another game. It's much more complicated. So, we have PV panels, we have heat pumps, we have ground source boreholes. Why do we need urban planning? That could be a good question. I have the answer of all. But I would like to go to the answer with you in the next minutes. So the first concept that I would like to remind to all of you is that optimizing energy balance in the creation of the positive energy district is not enough. This is only a single piece of the big puzzle, the big recipe that we have to cook all together. And the second point is that we cannot give for granted that citizens, common people, is interested in being engaged in the energy community, in the positive energy district, in the discussion about sharing energy. We are researchers, we are in this business, we love this topic, but the rest of the world doesn't care about. So just to set the ground, what is a positive energy district? A positive energy district is a neighborhood, it's more than a single building, aiming to achieve self-sufficiency on a nearly balance between consumption and production of energy, also offering flexibility services to the grid and to the operation. But this is a general definition. So anyone has its own perspective about what is the positive energy district. For example, if you talk with engineers and architects, positive energy districts are neighborhoods aiming to provide top performance technologies, fancy and nice smart buildings with innovative energy infrastructures. But if you ask, for example, to local politicians, they see in positive energy district a way to gain visibility at international level, and also maybe to attract some funds from European funding system and similar. If you talk to real estate developers, positive energy districts are business. So something to be sold, rented, to make money, to have a certain return on the investment. And if you talk to citizens, to tenants, in most of the cases, positive energy districts are unknown. animals, let's say. So no one is able to answer to this question. For us as urban planners, positive energy districts are a piece of larger settlements. They are not isolated islands, so self-sufficiency itself. And they are especially an opportunity for change, for introducing new schemes, new aptitude, not only technologies. So for urban planners, the final aim of the positive energy district is to achieve a better quality of life in citizens and to deliver pleasant space to live, to work, to spend free time. And to achieve this complex result, we need to orchestrate different competencies, needs, and also to find the right framework, because putting the new technologies, the new social schemes into the legislation, into the administrative procedures, it's not easy at all. The good news is that both positive energy district and renewable energy communities are perfectly fitting into the overall strategy of the European Union to become carbon neutral by 2050. So we all know that there is this big goal, this big opportunity, but in most of the cases, energy, so talking about energy, it's not the right lever to mobilize people, to mobilize stakeholders, to mobilize energies. In most of the cases, we have to focus on other topics, what we call usually co-benefits. So reducing of local pollution, reducing of congestion, increase of quality of life, reduction of energy poverty, and so on. The European Commission understood this since the beginning of the mission about climate neutral smart cities and asked to the cities not only to report about emissions, but also to focus on all these different topics. And here enters the role of the urban planner, which often is perceived as a role which is creating boundaries and limits to the freedom of the design. But in most of the cases, it's the only way to intercept this innovation and to bring the innovation into the daily procedures. And again, if we insist in having positive energy district only conceived and designed to achieve the energy balance, so without having the right delivery of high quality in cities, we will end up with not interesting case studies. We have to think about the final results perceived by all the citizens, not only by the technicians. I will bring you some small and short example, but very significant. For example, in this project, we renovated some housing stock, and this renovation process was not only efficient from a technical point of view, but was able to transform completely the perception of the city, of the neighborhood. So moving from old-fashioned social housing district to a smart neighborhood. Yes, the final energy performance was fine, was excellent, but the aesthetic result was also excellent in terms of urban quality. In other cases, also the public spaces are important, because not only because it's the most effective way to produce energy, but because it's the most effective way to communicate energy, to have some symbolism about energy with the citizens. And also additional services are important, those related to renewable energy and electric mobility, cycling, walking, so thinking about the public spaces and the connections in the district, and not only focusing on the buildings, but focusing on the spaces in between the buildings. So spacing for agrivoltaics, spacing for energy storage, including energy storage as what we call urbanizzazione primaria. So the founding elements of the new district. We have to think about energy storage. Who will pay the cost of the energy storage at the district level, which is effective, more than having single batteries in every single home, but also creating communities, opportunity for work, opportunity for gathering in the new energy district. I have a lot of other examples, but I see that I'm running out of time. So I will skip the last point of the presentations, and I will only tell you something about this, which is the initiative of the new European Bauhaus that I found of particular interest to cope with different elements, including aesthetics, inclusiveness, and sustainability, where sustainability is not only environmental, but also governance and economic sustainability. So if you are in trouble with your positive energy district or renewable energy community project, raise your hand and ask for your friendly neighborhood urban planner, and maybe you will be able to get some help and support. Thank you very much, and let's keep in touch. And Simone, if you don't mind me, I will also advertise a little bit the next event that we will have in December in Bolzano. It's a conference about smart and sustainable planning for cities and regions with sharing of academic papers, matchmaking between projects. We will also have R2M with us and a lot of other colleagues from Europe and so on. So thank you again.
Thanks, Adriano. It will be a pleasure. So let's move forward since time is running. I will introduce you Chiara Stanghini, Head of the European Project Officer at EDERA. Chiara will show us how off-site renovation at neighborhood scale could benefit energy communities, experience lesson learned from energy-strong projects. Chiara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simone, and good morning, everyone. I'm Chiara Stanghini from EDERA. As said by Simone, I will show you in a few minutes how off-site renovation could benefit energy community, but also in general positive energy district as introduced by Adriano. So, as you may know, EDERA is the market development team of Energy Sprong in Italy. Energy Sprong is an open innovation international movement that has a clear mission. So to make zero energy retrofit affordable, scalable, and fast, of course. In the last few years, Energy Sprong developed in different countries with more than 20,000 renovation made, and especially on social housing with industrialized technologies. And in 2024, it won the World Habitat Award thanks to its promising result in terms of cost, time, and disruption reduction for the tenant. As you can see in these videos, the idea is simple: to move from messy, long on-site work to prefabricated facade, roof, and energy modules that are produced off-site and are installed quite fast on-site with long-term guaranteed performance. This also enables new financial and economics models to develop thanks to the energy and maintenance savings. As you also know, the European housing stock is very diverse. And so different ownership, typologies, ages, regulation don't allow to have a one-fits-all solution. That's why with the Energy Sprong network, we have many live projects ongoing that can explore how industrialized renovation can become more feasible and scalable also in diverse conditions, such as the Gigareggio factory and Renotites project that I will briefly mention now. But you might be wondering why we are talking about off-site renovation today. And the reason is because we believe that off-site renovation is one enabler that can help the development of energy community, but also vice versa, because both approaches implies a strong tenant engagement. Moreover, renovation that have guaranteed performance standards usually implies that the stock is fully electrified. And of course, it can better exploit the renewable energy that is produced by PV panels, and also the energy demand is more predictable and reliable. Of course, this creates the condition for the optimization of cell consumption, which is one pillar of energy communities. Moreover, off-site approach can accelerate the transformation of district, making neighborhoods becoming what can be considered energy assets. In the Life Gigafactory project, it's too long, the name, we explored this district level renovation with a data-driven approach. Indeed, we believe that clustering large building portfolio is crucial to arrive at a neighborhood scale. So we developed a methodology that can filter building blocks, as you can see in the video that it's ongoing, according to three main families of indicators. Simplicity, which is how easy can it be to intervene of building from a technical logistic point of view. Similarity, how alike buildings are in terms of system, materials, or shapes. And quantity, so how many buildings there are within a same group to enable economies of scales and, of course, industrialized production. We applied this methodology in Italy, so we adapted to our context, developing a process that starts from the definition of archetypes, recurrent layouts, until two main index that we selected to clusters the building. The offsite index takes into consideration mainly the building geometry, so how much of the surface of the building can be renovated with offsite panels, and also the site accessibility to avoid the use of scaffoldings, of course. The energy index instead prioritizes buildings according to high energy consumption and CO2 emission that, of course, depend on the heating source. So this was the analysis so far, but there are many more possible indexes that we would like to add. For example, talking about energy community, the PV installation potential, and also the inhabitants' vulnerability of certain area can improve the overall social and territorial planning. Some result, we analyzed the public social housing stock of Milan municipalities. We manually analyzed 183 buildings out of the 365 that are fully owned by the municipality, and also that had available consumption and prototype data. The results are quite promising, so more than 50% have an high potential of renovation with industrialized technologies, such as this building, and just the 5% is not suitable for this approach. We are now trying to automatize, of course, the process to analyze the remaining buildings and also find a way to estimate the missing data. As you could imagine, this process is intended as an high-level analysis that can support municipalities and housing organizations, but of course a more specific diagnosis is then needed for the buildings that are really prioritized. In the Renotides project that it's just starting, we are also trying to enlarge this approach and apply it to stage renovation as well. Indeed, not all owners can afford a full deep renovation. but clustering can help also these cases. Indeed, by aggregating buildings which have the same characteristics can allow the creation of a collecting buying scheme that can aggregated demand. So a group of people could install insulated facade today and, for instance, roof or heat pumps in a few years. And of course, this also helps community to aggregate demand and shift progressively towards positive energy performance. So to conclude, we believe that this approach can benefit both the public organization because it helps prioritize their stock, allocate in a better way the limited financial resources that they have, and of course structure public procurement for large scale renovation. For instance, we are exploring a lot private-public partnership that also Anna mentioned this morning. But it's also benefit for private homeowners that can join group purchasing, get discounted price, and de-risk their investment. So in the end, off-site renovation is not just a construction approach as it could be another one, but it's a supporting tool that can help to scale up energy community in Europe if it's well structured with clustering and stage planning. So thank you for the attention. I also saved the 30 seconds. And if you want to know more about what we are doing, I also invite you to our renovation days in November, always here in Milan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiara, for your presentation. Thank you also, Edera, for being sponsor of this event. We are, as Artem, we are also partner of the Energy Strong movement, Energy Strong Italy. So we are glad to work and collaborate on the same field. Now we are going to close with the last two presentations. I invite here Bernard Scharf, co-founder, CPO of GreenPass. GreenPass is a product that here at Artem Italy brings to the market, and Bernard today will show us today how to match sustainability with resilience. Bernard, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me and the invitation from R2M to join this great conference. Again, I will share some thoughts on sustainability and resilience and how those two aspects may interact. So is it sustainability and resilience, or is it or resilience, or even versus resilience? Let's find out together today. So what is resilience? What is sustainability? Sorry. Sustainability is a term that originates from the forestry, where it is very important that you don't harvest more than you can regrow. So this is the original definition. So sustainability means meeting the needs of the present in a way that does not limit the opportunities and livelihood of future generations, in short. And there are some principles of sustainability, as you all know. We should have renewable materials, durability, repairability, reusability, and so on and so forth. And how are we doing as a society in that? How sustainable are we? This is the Earth Overshoot Day. I'm sure everyone heard about that one. So this is when we used up the resources of our planet. This year it was the 24th of July, and I brought you some different states as well, not Italy. No, I don't want to embarrass someone. But you can see that even though the living standard is quite similar, I would suppose, between Austria, Germany, or within the European Union, there is quite a difference when this overshoot day occurs. So, and as you see from the graph on your right-hand side, it's earlier every year. So we are overusing our planet. And what is the problem with that? It comes along with carbon dioxide emissions and is basically destroying our future climate, wealth, and health. So this is the actual climate, the climate change in Austria over the last decades. You can see there is a very visible trend, I would say. And this is obviously in line with the overuse of our planet resources and the greenhouse gas emissions. Here, this is a graph from the IPCC. You might also know about this is the Paris Treaty in 2015, and we are still on the business as usual trajectory, which is the SSP 5 to 8.5. So business as usual, we are emitting even more emissions every year, and that leads us to certain events, extreme events like fluvial and pluvial flood, like heat extremes and drought. For us as humans, it's especially bad because the maximum temperatures are increasing dramatically. This is a study from the ETH for the business as usual scenario until 2050. And you can see that there will be an increase of the maximum summer temperature in Rome by more than 5 degrees. So you will end up something like 45 degrees in the shade. And that's also not good news, actually, because there's something that we call the wet bulb conditions. This is when our body cannot cool down anymore because of transpiration. So if we are exposed to 35 degrees and 100% relative humidity, we start to die within 6 hours. So if you have 45 degrees, you don't need 100% relative humidity, but only something like 75 or so. There are some calculators on the web, so you can calculate your wet bulb conditions for your home. That means that we need technical equipment to protect ourselves from heat. So this brings me to the next point. Who is affected by climate change? In Austria, they always talk, we need to protect the climate. I say this is BS. We don't need to protect our climate. It's all about our health, our wealth, and our security. That's what climate mitigation and adaptation is about. Nothing else. It's not about the climate, not about nature, not about biodiversity, to be honest. These things can recover. Our societies and economies cannot. So what should we do? How can we facilitate this transformation? First of all, we need to take responsibility for everything that we do. What we build today will remain for decades. And we saw some very important aspects to that, like the renewable energy communities, renewable energy as a whole. And we need to understand that sustainability and resilience are communicating vessels. So the lack of sustainability leads to climate change, leads to the need to build resilience in our cityscapes to protect ourselves from our unsustainability and the consequences. So for now, it's a sustainability and resilience that we need to look at, and we need to build resilience as fast and as impactful as possible, as quick as possible. This brings us back to scaling solutions. And we're proud to have R2M as partners for some solutions that we created. There are other solutions on the market as well. We call it the Green Pass Check. This is a management tool to build your transformation strategy. It gives you information about the climate risks, the climate mitigation and climate resilience, or adaptation of your assets. You can identify the risks at the location. So this is GPS located, and it's all the 28 risks that you need for the EU taxonomy. It tells you about your mitigation status according to the CEM guideline. And we also developed an adaptation assessment to give you information how adapted is your asset today. This does only need 28 information points. You can try it online if you like. There's the website link is on the slide. So first of all, what are your risks? If you adapt, if you transform, you should know your climatic framework conditions, of course, but you also should know your climate risks to react appropriate. And you should not only know that for today, but only for the future climates. So this is exactly what this risk platform does. We're using the Munich Ray in the background to retrieve all those informations for you and show you which risks do you have, for instance, in Milan today, and in 30 years, and in 50 years, and so on, so that you can account for that in your design. Secondly, how is your decarbonization today? How much carbon emissions do you produce? How energy efficient is your building? You can monitor that. You can evaluate that with the tool, and also, which is very important, you can create scenarios. So what would happen if I put in insulation, if I change the energy source, and so on? It will calculate that, and it will also calculate what is it called? A stranded asset year, when your asset exceeds the allowed pathway for carbon emission reduction. And then we also developed a system that allows to quantify your climate adaptation, your climate resilience based on 4 thematic fields and quantitative indicators. So also for this purpose, you can have numbers and you can create your targets in your transformation process throughout your portfolio. And yes, with all that data, we also provide a guided process for EU taxonomy conformity check that accounts for all 6 environmental goals and also has all the 28 risks inside. You still need some additional documents to perform the whole conformity check, but the tour in the check will guide you through that. If you find that with this tool, you can find the assets that you want to transform first because they're performing badly in terms of mitigation or whatever, then you can do simulation solutions. This is the second tool that we use, that we offer together with R2M Solutions in Europe mostly. And this is very important because the energy consumption of a building is not detached from the exterior, and especially the livelihood, the sojourn quality of the people in the cities are also not detached from the climate. So, and due to the time, I skipped some slides. What does it produce? We produce microclimate simulations, for instance, that show you where the thermal comfort on the outdoors is good or is bad. The red spots are really bad. So it's more than 47 degrees felt temperature, not air temperature, felt temperature, please. The blue areas are the shades from the buildings, but also from the trees. So you can optimize the outdoor sojourn quality for the people. You can locate the playing yards. You can locate the restaurant gardens and all that based on this information. Another information which is also very important for energy efficiency from buildings is how much temperature will the surfaces gain. So we can see the surface temperature of all the facades and all the roofs. And with a green roof, you can protect your roof from heat very efficiently. You can expect a U value of 0.3 or even less, depending on the green roof that you apply. Also on the facades, you can see which facades will collect the most energy. And if you use facade greening, you can reduce the solar gains by 90%. There are also papers, if you're interested, regarding those topics so that you can use all this information for your work. For instance, dynamic building physical simulations. I will jump now to the final slides. This is a project that we did together with R2M. It's the first climate resilience certification in Italy. It's the Voliba Life and Business Park in Rome. And we had the pleasure to perform our certification for climate resilience together with R2M for this project, and did a lot of simulations, reference simulations, and so on. Calculated key performance indicators, so it's a quantitative system. It's not something qualitative where somebody tells you something. It's a quantitative system with indicators where we also give advice how to optimize the performance, the climate resilience. And this project reached 67% of the maximum and a silver degree level of certification. Thank you for your attention. 1 minute above. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for your attention. Thanks.
Thank you, Bernard, for your inspiring speech. So we're going to move to the last presentation. Then we have a short round table. So I invite you to stay until the end. I give the floor to Dennis Urax, Business Development Lead at Access for You. Access for You is a new solution, a new certification that we as R2M bring to the market. in Italy. And just to give you an example, this event and this place is the first that has been certified in Italy right now, thanks to our innovative products division team. So now you will understand more how this work and how accessibility should match also with sustainability. Dennis, the floor is yours. Take another one. Yellow one.
Hello, hello. Good, thank you. Yes, indeed, I just want to correct one thing. Not the first place, but first event location. We've done a couple of assets already across Italy. But I thank very much R2M for the opportunity to audit this as an event. I first of all need the attention of everyone for this very first part. To make things very safe, just put your laptops on the side or phones. You're going to need both of your hands. I just don't want you to risk your laptops for a second here. I'm going to have a couple of questions for the audience. You're going to have to use both of your hands, probably for the very first question. The rest of them, you might not have to use it. The very first question I want to ask is, who has ever traveled with a suitcase here? Put one of your hands up. Okay, good. Now, have you traveled more than once? Put your other hand up. Okay. Now keep your hands up and look around. Kind of awkward. Yeah. When you both of your hands up. You're just going to have to use one more hand from here on. The second question is, who has parents or grandparents that are still alive? Put one of your hands up. Who has a person, you can put them down, feel free to put them down. Who has a person in their lives living with a disability? Okay, there's quite a few hands up there. Who is a parent and has experience going around with a stroller? A couple of hands up. Good. And very last question. Have you ever been grateful that you can enter and use any environment you want? Put your hand up if you did. Okay, that's very good to know. Now keep your hands up, look around. How many people have used it? That's very good to hear. There's a reason why. Accessibility is something which is taken for granted in most scenarios. And in most cases, we don't think about it every day. In some occasions, yes, we do, especially when we see someone else who's having trouble with it. But local regulations are right now considering primarily wheelchair users, and they tend to forget about the rest. This is why, when we think about accessibility, we primarily think about wheelchair users. But we tend to forget to think about ourselves, our friends, our family, and how accessibility truly impacts our lives and how it will impact our lives. Now, what people don't realize about accessibility in most cases is how making an environment accessible for someone else also impacts our quality of life. And this is a wonderful example where, in case we design something for wheelchair users, how it also impacts our lives. On this picture, you can also see, yourself going around with your kid in a stroller, or your grandparents sitting at the bench with a briefcase or suitcase, and also how your children are going around with their bikes. So accessibility is something which is not just for wheelchair users. There's a lot more people who have some form of accessibility need. We have the elderly, we have wheelchair users, bench with strollers, people with visual impairments, such as the blind, people with cognitive impairments, such as people with autism, or we also have the deaf and hard of hearing. So 30 to 40% of society has some form of accessibility need. And that is a very surprising number when we first think about it. So why accessibility is truly important for you is because 80% of disabilities and accessibility needs develop between the ages of 18 and 65. And this, in turn, has a huge impact on the economy as well, and on the amount of revenue businesses make. So the current trends that we are seeing is a huge aging society. In Italy specifically, we have 25% of our society who is above 65. And there is a 100% chance of becoming older. It's a guarantee. We'll get older. And that causes us to get into situations where we might develop also disadvantages. Another trend is that regulations are primarily focused on wheelchair users without including people with visual, hearing, and cognitive impairments. And building owners tend to think that environments are already accessible due to existing regulations. But the end results are typically not verified by any governmental body. This is a photo I've taken in Belgium this year. At first, you might not see any problems with this picture. But if we look closer, there's the opportunity for a wheelchair user to call for help. Now let's go back. How is that wheelchair user going to ask for help? And this is a brand new building, which might have wanted to follow some regulations. On this side, I tried to go around the building, try to find ways of how we can ask for help, but there's no way to get to that point. Even though it's a new building that I would also probably love to live in. Here's another example of implementing something which isn't that helpful. And another one, we don't speak, I don't read Chinese, but I think it's quite apparent that they're showing that, yes, you can go on the other side of this bridge. So how does Access for You benefit us? The way we work is we audit environments, we do data collection, we certify and consult our collaborators on how they can have their environments even more accessible. This typically takes 1 to 2 working days without additional documentation needed, unlike with other certifications where it might take a lot longer. The second part is a certification where we help the owners and also managers of environments or employers to share how accessible they are publicly, and certifying it based on 4 different levels. So it can be certified, bronze, silver, or gold. And at the end, we provide a scoring system which allows you to keep track of all the process you're doing throughout the years, thus increasing your trust with investors or showcasing it within your ESG reports. So in short, we do the survey in a day or 2, we assess and certify, and then we provide communicational support to all of our clients. So the strategic foundations that we help in is, from a property perspective, we help you develop the features of the building, we help you in brand building, and also for the social part of sustainability. Thus, engaging your tenants' loyalty, potentially attracting even more, building trust with your investors, and also allowing you to have environments which are truly accessible and inclusive for everyone. Overall, it's a very quick and effective method. We've also been approved by WELL and GRES. And I also have another news, but I'm not allowed to share it for now. I just got the email this morning. How can you be accessible? Here's a question that many people don't necessarily understand how. I've been now talking about the problem, but what's the solution? Well, there's many things you can implement, but these are the most basic ones, which also do not require a huge investment. We talk about things such as tactile signage on the floor, between 2,000 to 4,000 euros per building. When we look at huge infrastructures, that's not a lot of money. We then also have people with visual impairments, where if you want to make it accessible, you need to mark glass with stickers on the glass walls, allowing people to see and not hit their heads in the wall. Then we have induction loop systems, also between 5,000 to 1,000 euros typically, and online sign language services. And then we also have implementations for people with cognitive impairments. The reason why I didn't mention anything about lifts, ramps, etc., because those are already considered to some degree, but they also might require custom solutions. But the average to make a building more accessible is also, looking at a larger perspective, does not require such a huge expense. So I also want to show the growth of Access for You. It's been really a pleasure to work here for the past couple of years. Since 2019, we had 29 locations, and by now we have 1,715 locations that we've audited. Across Europe, we see a growing trend And I want to truly show my appreciation to all our clients who we collaborate with, such as the ones seen on this, who work across 15 different property segments, ranging from shopping mall owners, universities, retail stores, private employers, banks, etc. So, what now? We have an international partner network across 33 countries and more than 60 partners across the globe. So, if my presentation has taught you something and you now see the importance of accessibility, I'll help you connect with our best partners, one of them R2M. And depending on your country, you can choose to, number one, visit us at our booth. I'm there with my colleague Paula. She's very kind. Or option two, you can book a call directly with us so we can have a chat and help you become more inclusive. Thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Dennis. Great presentation, great timing. We are very happy of this new partnership. We thank you, Access4You, for being a sponsor of this event and of this thematic track. So now we are going to close the session after the roundtable. Just have a patient for a few minutes. I invite Ivan Aranda from R2M Spain to join the roundtable. We will have a few questions, but in the meantime, I would like to ask to the audience if there is any question from your side, from our speakers. Okay, it seems not. So, so you can use the yellow. You can use the yellow microphone. I have a few questions just to make this session a bit more interactive and take also some and have also some take-home message for us and for our audience. So I will start from Ivan. Ivan Aranda is the head of energy division at R2M Spain, dealing with several activities on the field with energy communities. So my question to you is mainly referring to the strategy being implemented by the government in Spain with those Oficina de Transformación Comunitaria, Oficina de Energía. So my question is, do you think that this is the right solution to encourage citizens to become members of a renewable energy community? Or also, do you think that which one should be the ideal location of this kind of one-stop shops? If we should have one for each city, one for each province, one for each district, or a totally remote solution can be still useful and working. And finally, my question for you is to understand if those Oficina de Transformación Comunitaria can evolve in a complete one-stop shop that actually will become the main reference for citizens in order that they can address all the issue of the energy transition. Ivan, I'll leave you to comment on this.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I think they are very relevant, all of them. Regarding the strategy of the deployment of these transformation offices in Spain, just a very quick point is that in Spain, the Spanish government launched a program to finance actually 70 offices for supporting energy communities in different regions and with different formats, okay? So I don't know if it's the best strategy, but I definitely think that this is a right strategy. I think the point here is that we know that energy communities is a very complex topic. There are many issues, many aspects involved in energy communities. We are talking about technical things. We are talking about regulation. We are talking about culture. We are talking about social aspects. So this is one part of the energy communities regarding the topics. Also, the stakeholders there is a large variety of stakeholders. So what we found is that if we want citizens or industries, for example, to promote energy communities, there is kind of a gap between this complex and variety of disciplines, of areas of knowledge, and the capacity of citizens to promote those initiatives. Also, I want to stress as well the municipalities also as a key actor in the ecosystem, in the energy community. So we have municipalities with their own regulation, their own way to do things. Municipalities, we have, let's say, the technology and the different aspects. We have the different stakeholders, and we have the communities. So to put all together all these pieces, what we found, and what I think this is the success or the interest of this strategy, is that is the fact that there is a need of someone or something in the middle to somehow deliver and to connect the different dots and the different points. So basically, to bring the logic of the local governments, to bring the logic of the technical in the broad dimension issues, to bring the logic of the different stakeholders, and put that together, these pieces of the puzzle, towards the energy community, to the promoters, which in many cases we are talking about citizens that they don't have the time and the capacities to tackle all these different issues. So my answer will be yes. I think this is definitely a good strategy, and the results and the number are supporting that fact. In Spain, in 2023, there were around, like, let's say, a few dozens of energy communities, 30, 40, depending on the source that you consider. Now, 2 years after that project for these offices was launched, now in a couple of weeks ago, there was published a very serious report with a very serious methodology, claiming almost 700 energy communities already legalized in Spain. So the activity has been crazy within these 2 years. Regarding the second thing that you were mentioning, is related to the geographical location of these offices. We had the chance to assess or to try all the different modalities. So I think I'm a right person to at least express an opinion on that. As I was saying, there were financed 70 offices, energy transition, community transition offices in Spain. And as Penta Community, which is a spin-off of R2M, and is the company, the spin-off of R2M, that is dealing with this, all these offices, we are managing 11 of those energy offices in Spain. So, and we have different formats and different offices, different ways to operate the offices. So we have the only one financed by this program, which is at national level. So, and this is just virtual office operating at national level, so we can provide support in anywhere in Spain. We are running other offices which are in a regional level. So we have in Spain 17 regions, so we run regional level offices. We also run province level offices. We have 50 provinces in Spain, and we also run offices at very local level in small municipalities. So we have, and some of them are physical, so we have people in the offices working. Some others are like hybrid. Some others are, different modalities. So with that, in our experience, after these 2 years, that basically from these almost 700 energy communities that they are registered, we are in contact, and we have supported all together in all our offices with Penta Community, our R2M spin-off. We have been supporting over 150. So basically, we can say that over the 15% of, we can say, market share of market ecosystem of energy communities, we are involved on that. So after this experience, I would say that the best option, all of them are complementary and useful, but I would say that having local offices in every municipality maybe will be the best approach. And this is just because the energy communities is something specifically and mainly local. And this is the local aspect of the community, of the energy community, is very important. So in order to really support these grassroots innovation processes, I think it's good if they are locally, so they can really come together and support the local and grassroots initiatives. And very quick to the final question you were mentioning. Of course, I think the services can be,
could be enlarged and to move towards a more like real or comprehensive one-stop shop. So not only supporting energy communities, but other aspects related to energy transition, because at the end of the day, the problems I was mentioning before are the same. Like citizens, they are busy, they don't have, sometimes all the technical capacities for such a complex world involved in the energy transition. So I think this supportive mechanism to make things easier, that's the whole point here, I think are useful, and it applies the same for other services. So yeah, that would be my conclusion here.
Thanks, Ivan. Very, very clear, very, very practical. Thanks again for answering. Now we'll have another question for Adriano. So Adriano, you can take the microphone from Ivan. So in your presentation, you talk about the differences between somehow, but also the synergies between the concept of positive energy district and also of renewable energy community. So essentially, from your perspective as a urban planner, what is the necessary step to make the creation of a positive energy district easier for professionals working in this field, and how this can be combined with the concept of renewable energy communities? So, which is in the end that does not seem to have much to do with the technical aspects of urban planning. I leave the floor to you, Adriano.
Thank you, Simone. I will try to answer by doing an interactive exercise with the audience. I kindly ask you to raise the hand if you are a technician working in a local public authority, in a local municipality. Who is working among you? One, maybe. Anna. So this is the situation. We have a lot of very interesting, innovative technologies, urban projects, European projects, testing new business model, new tools, new devices, whatever, new software solution. And this is a world. And then we have another world, the world of the technical offices of the municipalities. And the two worlds have some communication issues, serious communication issues, despite the fact that all the projects have the communication, transfer, scalability package, and so on. I don't know who is responsible for this lack of communication. Maybe both parties. I put myself in both parties, so I'm twice responsible for this fail. But this is the critical issue. So the point is to move from the, not the theory, but the experimentation to the practical spreading of knowledge and awareness into the technicians that in the end are responsible for drawing the contract between the developer and the municipality and to establish and to set the rules. Because, for example, going back to the concept of positive energy district, if you plan a new district and if you don't plan in advance by putting this concept as a binding obligation, maybe the creation of the local network for the district heating or the ground source bores as a neighborhood infrastructure, or the storage system for hot water or batteries as something that must be done by the developer, and you only leave this to some inspired ones, you don't set up the ground condition. Or moving from the technical stuff to the governance aspect. If the creation of the renewable energy community is something which is recalled since the beginning as a precondition, maybe someone will give some attention to this. Some years ago in Italy, when we were planning for new districts, no one was looking into the details at the problems of flooding. Then we had several problems about flooding. And now, if you want to build a new district or transform a piece of the city from old industry to residential, one of the first check that you have to do is about flooding and ensuring that you are not going to put this new district in danger because you are adding additional problem. Maybe in the future, we will have the check of energy community readiness of the district. Before starting, did you look around about possible synergies with some other prosumers for establishing an energy community or entering with the newcomers in the district into an energy community, which is already existing? This is crucial because it's also, let's say, less trustable that every new district will build up the new energy community. So we have to leverage on existing situation. So I think that this last crucial step is the key to pass from nice stories and nice dreams of the European project that we all love to the real implementation into the real world and the daily activities of the municipalities and technicians.
Thanks, Adriano. Yeah, this is the main challenge that we discussed from the beginning. So today, thank you for answering. We will have the last question for Chiara Stanghini from Edera. Chiara show us interesting solutions on large-scale retrofit. So my question to you, Chiara, is what are the key enablers to foster deep and off-site renovation at neighborhood scale, according to your experience?
Well, I think that I will be brief because lunchtime is approaching, and I will a bit summarize a few topics that emerge also today. The first one, of course, is data availability, one of the core of the several speeches here in Sustainable Places. And it's even more true for off-site, of course, renovation, because reliable data are needed from clustering to planning to monitoring to allow the mass customization of this kind of solution. Secondly, as I already said, I would highlight the need of demand aggregation. Indeed, industrialized retrofit are spreading, but they are not yet the standard. So to put together different but similar buildings and multiple owners, it's crucial to have a sort of market volume to push the industry to invest and to, of course, lower the cost, which is a big topic for current renovations. And finally, a bit connected to what Adriano said, new business and procurement models that are based on performance are needed. Indeed, both financial instrument and public bids should open a bit more on rewarding energy and comfort performance beside taking into account just technical aspect, and the instrument are there, but probably municipalities or housing organizations are not yet trained enough for this. And of course, this also helps to create intervention that has a long-term value for all the community. And this is also the reason why in Edera we try to create a broad ecosystem of supply, demand, financial and legal actors to work together to make this market real and scalable.
Thanks.
That's it.
Thanks you. Thanks, Chiara. Thanks to also our audience for attending this thematic track on sustainable urban design. Now we are going to have our lunch. So we will be back at 2 with an important and rich afternoon of events. I kindly ask you to be back in the auditorium after your lunch. Our CEO Thomas Messery will moderate that session. We will be glad to have you. We'll talk about also our business model that rely on crowd lending, that is the superhero model. So we'll be happy to have you back again. and thank you for staying with us.